In this episode, we talk about a couple of less than stellar wives. The first one, my wife moved in with her boss days after we agreed to divorce. My wife and I have been married for 13 and a half years, together for 15, and have been friends for almost 20. She has worked for the same boss for more than a decade. Over the past 9 to 12 months, I've had the feeling that something was off in our relationship. To be fully honest, our intimate life has been non-existent for some time before that. But she seemed happy, and I had been willing to make sacrifices that were challenging for me if it meant a successful marriage. However, in the last year, things started to change. I noticed that she was getting home from work later and later as time wore on. Not enough to immediately set off alarm bells, and her business was growing rapidly. But it definitely started to make me worry. My attempts to engage in conversation were often met with simple one-word answers or nothing at all, often with the excuse of being tired and having a really long day. Before long, she was settling down for bed at 8:30 p.m. She'd always been a night owl. Then it was 8, then 7:30, then 7. She kept taking side jobs that had her staying at friends' houses for days at a time while they were out of town. I had the distinct feeling that she wanted to be anywhere besides around me. I finally worked up the courage to have the talk about 2 weeks ago. I was shocked and gutted to find out that she was so far into processing her discontent with our relationship that she brought up a divorce within the first couple minutes. I asked if she wanted to fight to fix our marriage. She said she thought it was beyond fixing. Despite every bone in my body wanting to fight, I didn't have it in me to drag her through a counseling process if she wasn't invested. I won't begin to pretend I don't share fault in the failure of our marriage, but I wasn't about to stand in the way of what she wanted. We agreed the next day to a divorce, but both stated we wanted things to be amicable, even split of everything, no lawyers, simply a new beginning for both of us. Fast forward 2 weeks. All of our personal belongings and assets have been separated and divided. Most of my close friends, family, and coworkers know what is happening. But she continued to avoid telling her social circles and was extremely concerned that something would appear on social media. Yesterday, I moved out into my own place. Today, I received an unexpected text message from her boss's wife. At first, I thought it was simply reaction to the divorce and that my wife had finally shared details with her coworkers. However, I was shocked and horrified to find out that my wife and her boss were moving in together and he had announced he was leaving his family. They both swear that there has been nothing between them besides friendship until they realized in the past few days that they were in similar places in their marriages. Alas, this brings me to my emotions. First, I feel unfettered anger at my wife. I confronted her today, and she admitted she has been checked out of our relationship for years, but instead of telling me she wasn't happy, she chose to wait until I was also unhappy. Despite her assurances to the contrary, I also feel an extreme sense of betrayal and deception. No part of me believes the claim that her relationship with her boss is new, emotional or otherwise. Even recent actions, the requests to avoid social media, the intentional steps taken to prevent coworkers from learning the truth, the insistence that everything remain amicable, it all plays like a deliberate setup to avoid any conflicts until we had physically split everything we had and I moved into a new place. Find out from the boss's wife was extra salt in the wound, especially when she shared details from her relationship, which made it eminently clear that something had been going on for a long time. All of this brings me to the million-dollar question. We have 2 more tasks which must be completed with both of us physically present, not including court proceedings for the divorce. After which I have told her I have no desire to see her or speak to her again. Every part of my being wants to yell, scream, rage, and unload every emotional broadside I have in order to tell her how I feel. But will that do more harm than good? Do I swallow my pride one last time and say goodbye to my friend of 20 years with restraint and respect she frankly doesn't deserve? I don't know. Let's see what the community says. Partner has sad HD. I think you should tell her how you feel. I'm not saying you have to go crazy batshit on her, but you should tell her everything you want to say, and if it comes out harsh and heated, then so be it. As long as you don't do something that would get you in trouble with the law. You can do it without stooping to her level and calling her names. Go for it if it makes you feel good. This is for you, not her. You are allowed to let her know how you feel betrayed by her. It won't change anything, but if you don't do it, you may feel like something in the process isn't complete. You won't necessarily get closure from it. That term gets tossed around a lot, because you won't emerge from it feeling like you understood why she did what she did. But sometimes, it is a necessary part of the process. I say this because my situation is similar in how I found out about the infidelity after my partner and I broke up. I chose to deal with it on my own without confronting him because, what's the point? We were already broken up for a few weeks by then. I chose to take the high road, but I always felt like I had something to say to him and that we had unfinished business. So, after a few months, when I went to get my things, I asked if we could talk. I didn't go crazy on him. I only told him that I knew about him being online and seeing other women, and how one woman came forward to me. I felt good after finally getting all that out, but honestly, I wish I had done it sooner. Having that talk later down the road only delayed the start of my healing process. I realized I was waiting to have the talk before finally moving on. I'm doing better now, and I'm glad I did have the chance to say what I had to say. But I regret putting on a brave face and not saying anything sooner. Being civil and taking the high road sounds noble, but sometimes you just gotta do what is right and feels good for you. So get out everything you want and need to say. I believe you can do so without it turning ugly. If you get a little emotional, it's fine. Do it so you can move on with your life and let the healing begin. Our next comment from Pencilneck 1701. I believe a consultation with an attorney may bring forth some alternate schemes to make her world and his a little less comfortable. Find out if your state has alienation or affection statutes. My firm based outside the US had clients that were married in an alienation of affection state. The wife had left her husband for her employer. They seemed to take utter joy in destroying her soon-to-be ex-husband's life. We discovered the statutes and had a spy or two in the wayward spouse's office. One fine morning, the other man and the wayward wife are canoodling in the office when our process server arrived. According to our spy, they had a small laugh when they were served. They were feeling invincible. Our suit was for 10 times the business net worth, as well as the other man's. Millions and millions. He apparently casually called his attorney. Apparently, a minute or so into the conversation, he walked out of his office, into wayward wife's, and what was heard was, "Your gosh darn ex is suing me out of my business and into the poorhouse. My lawyer says it is an open and shut case, in his favor." She gets down to reading what she is being sued for, and it is his divorce filing. He is suing under the state adultery statutes, and she loses the house and her finances, and she will be paying him alimony. In a panic, she calls her ex. He laughs in her face. A year and a half later, the company is shuttered, and betrayed husband is liquidating its assets. It was sold off to the largest competitor. The other man has his house up for sale and has signed over most of his investments. The wayward wife moved in with her parents. Her new relationship ended 2 to 3 months after being served, and a second after, her ex-boss requested that she no longer be in his presence. Of course, she darkened her ex-husband's door, asking for forgiveness and a second chance. Apparently, he would have to give back everything that he won in the lawsuit, so he told her to get lost, which ended with her signing herself into a psychiatric facility. E.L. Bakes says, "Destroy her. It will make you feel better for a few minutes. Or, give her what she wants, then you'll still feel like crap and will feel weak for being walked over." I'd go with option 1. Start by not even turning up to the 2 remaining parts of the divorce that need to be handled face to face. In light of new information, see if you can go back and redistribute the assets based on her being a cheating mole. Get evidence of their affair. HR, emails, boss's wife, testimony, and take it to a lawyer who is really spiteful and aggressive. Make it impossible for them to be happy. Then hook up with the boss's wife. Not sexually or maybe sexually. Develop a relationship with her to benefit you by having someone to confide in, but also to get under the skin of the soon-to-be ex-wife and a-hole boss. Destroy them both. Destroy them. Revenge feels so dang good. I fully expect this post to be removed, but I feel okay venting on the OP's behalf. And now for the second less than stellar wife. The wife was caught sexting other men. 33 male here. Sorry in advance for any mistakes, I am on mobile. So here it goes. On Saturday night, my wife and I went on a date without the kids, and she brought up the topic of opening up our marriage. I was not expecting that to ever come out of her mouth, because she always told me she would never share me with anyone. I was violently thrown out of my comfort zone. I still had the conversation with her to find out what this may look like for us, what she is looking for, how she is looking to grow from this, etc. She really didn't have any good answers to any of these questions. This was a red flag for me, because usually my wife has researched the topic inside and out. But with this, I think she literally said something along the following: "While we are young, let's screw." This is extremely out of character. So I gave her my reservations and told her I would think about it, like how to deal with jealousy. Is this something that could be good for both of us? What are the boundaries, etc. The next day, I brought it up again. I told her I was very happy she felt comfortable enough with me to discuss her needs and desires. I said I would be willing to attempt something, but it would need to be something we engage in as a couple, i.e. swinging with another couple we are comfortable with. I also told her I would not be comfortable with us going out on our own to look for connections, so no one-on-one with anyone, things of that nature. She started to backpedal and just said, well, I guess it's something we won't do, and I will be fine with it. So here's another red flag for me. I started to feel that she may already have someone in mind, or worse, has already engaged in that activity without bringing anything to me first. The feeling kept eating at me, and I know I should not have done it, but while she was sleeping last night, I took her phone. I read through some recent messages with a coworker of hers, and it seemed a little flirtatious. But hey, I can see that peppered in when you spend that much time with someone. So I moved to Reddit. I checked what she posted, and there was a few pictures of herself on Rate Me. The comments seemed fine. She is beautiful and got wonderful ratings. Some comments were a little racy, but she hadn't responded to them, so I thought nothing of it. Then I checked her dad's, and wow, I almost wish I hadn't. There were loads of messages from other guys. She was flirting, they were flirting. Then in some of them, probably 5 or 6, I could tell they were more. There was flirting, and some pretty erotic stuff, ending with them swapping Snapchat info. With everything being deleted on there, I have no idea what she actually sent. She admitted to flirtatious messages and a couple of nude shots of herself. She says nothing ever got physical, and that she created this fantasy for herself so she could harbor attention from others for who she is now. Then I found another message again, very much of the same, and he started asking her what made her want to work on opening her marriage. Her response ripped my heart out. She says she had an affair with someone at work, and that I do not know about it. Then goes on to say it awakened a newfound sexual exploration for her, and that it was lucky for me. The rest of it just ended with them getting on Snapchat. I confronted my wife last night because I could not sleep. She claims it was all a fantasy to make herself feel better about herself and who she has become. She said it has nothing to do with me or our relationship, or anything lacking in our relationship, but it sure as hell does not feel that way. When asked about the message she wrote admitting her infidelity, she said that it was something she made up to tell the man that she was messaging. She said she created a story and sold it to him. I don't buy it though. I feel so betrayed, confused, lonely, and angry with her. We have 2 kids, and it would be a messy divorce, but I do not believe I will ever be able to trust her again. Does anyone have any advice for me or going through a similar issue? Sorry this was long, but I have been on 0 sleep and sitting at my desk, at work, trying not to cry typing this. Thanks in advance. Enigmatic says, better to separate now before it gets worse. The emotional and psychological harm to your kids would be lifelong if you stay together with so many issues. Everything she did there was not just a red flag, but red alarms blasting everywhere. She's a liar, and a quite obvious one at that. I'm sorry to say, but she did have the affair and is just lying to you. For the sake of your sanity and children, I would start building a life of independence. At least try a separation and see how it goes. Screenshot those messages if you still can and send them to yourself. Or open them up and take pics with your own phone. That could be very helpful if you decide to get a divorce. I'm sorry you're going through this. I've been through something similar and it's agonizing. The best thing I ever did was end it and move on. No kids and not married. We were engaged. Best of luck, friend, and please see a therapist when or if you can. Do not bottle any of this up. Thank you for watching the Red World. If you enjoyed this video, please give a like, subscribe, and see you in the next one.